Welcome to the lecture on regulatory intelligence and staying informed. This is part of the e-learning course on regulatory affairs. My name is Shanti Sethuraman, and I'm the director of the Regulatory Center of Excellence at Eli Lilly and Company. I'm here with my colleague, Dr. Marjo Gazak, to share key concepts and applications on regulatory intelligence. Now, the focus of this lecture is around applications with respect to the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, and EMA, the European medical agencies. However, most of these concepts that we'll be talking about is applicable to the rest of the world, whether it's Japan, China, or emerging markets. The agenda for today's lecture will cover three main concepts of regulatory intelligence. We will then talk about a case study which will demonstrate the application of the concepts. Last but not the least, we will talk about challenges and takeaways. Now, these challenges are meant to provide key pointers on what is to be aware of in obtaining regulatory intelligence. It's really not meant to deter anybody from obtaining and utilizing regulatory intelligence. The three concepts that we'll be looking at are: what is regulatory intelligence and what is it not? The second concept we'll be looking at is: why is regulatory intelligence important? And then the last but not the least would be: how does one go about applying regulatory intelligence to drive regulatory strategy around drug development? And of course, the case study would be how you put everything together and use the application to drive drug development. So what is regulatory intelligence? It's actually, regulatory intelligence is a pathway, but it helps with defining, gathering, analyzing, and transforming relevant information. Now, information is not useful if we do not know how to transform it into something applicable and actionable, which in turn helps drive effective decision-making and helps predict the pathway. Now, knowing some of the risks will help us prevent the risks, mitigate the risks, or manage the risks. And these are regulatory risks that I'm discussing. So it's important that we use these regulatory intelligence to drive and influence the regulatory strategy around drug development, which is denoted by the star, because that is basically our end in mind. Now, it's important to know that when we talk about regulatory intelligence, we are purely talking about publicly available data when we say we're talking about targeting information and/or analyzing. One should also keep in mind that regulatory intelligence is a customer-based endeavor that helps the regulatory scientists and the teams working on the molecules to influence the regulatory strategy around drug development.